When people think about getting rich, they tend to go straight to driving expensive cars and taking the fanciest vacations. And while these certainly are perks of having significant wealth, no one ever talks about the harsh realities that come with building a sizable net worth. This is unfortunate because there will always be roadblocks and obstacles when trying to become successful in anything you do. And in this video I will share with you 9 shocking truths about becoming rich, so let's get started. Truth number 1, your income is capped as an employee. When you're an employee, you typically get increases in compensation in 3 ways: promotions, raises, and bonuses. While these boosts in pay are always welcome, the reality is that they will never make you rich. The trouble with being an employee is that you will never be paid more than someone else decides what you're worth. That's why in return for less freedom, less control and less fulfillment every day you work for someone else, your upside is always capped and your downside is always unlimited, since at any moment someone can come and take away your income. This is a harsh reality that all rich people realize early on in their careers, which prompts them to reassess their means of income generation, and often leads them to starting their own businesses where your income is only limited by you. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I too had this realization early on in my career. A couple of years ago I was working 50+ hours a week as a sales manager. And from what I could tell, I was doing a pretty good job. However, when time passed by, I received an infuriatingly small raise, which I voiced to my manager. He calmly said to me that if you don't accept it, then someone else will do your job for less, and to just be happy with the raise I got. It was at this point that I knew the paycheck lifestyle would never make me rich, and like I said, wealthy people know that the only way to become extremely rich is to start a business. By starting a business, you get to leverage other people's talents and time and can skill much more than you ever could as a single employee. And the best part is that you're the one who sets the price and not your employer, meaning you can make the money you want as long as your business is thriving. Now, keep in mind that you don't have to quit your job to start a business. In fact, you probably shouldn't. One of the best ways to minimize your risk is to keep your full-time job while you build your foundation for success. Then once your business income is reliable and sufficient, you can quit. Truth number 2, no one cares about your success as much as you do. Whether becoming rich has always been your dream or if it is just another goal you want to attain during your lifetime, no one will care about you achieving this success more than you. Sure, your friends and family may offer their best advice at times, but when it comes to people outside your inner circle, you need to understand that people are out to make money from you, not for you. For instance, college isn't there to help you get a job, it's there to charge you orbiting tuition fees. Financial advisors aren't trying to make you money, but instead are trying to collect commissions on the money you give them. Ultimately, during your path to wealth, you need to be the one who is looking out for your best interests. Truth number 3, borrowing is quick, repayment is slow. If you have good credit and sufficient income, you could borrow $100,000 and buy a fancy sports car. If you have no credit and no income, you can borrow $100,000 or even $200,000 and buy a degree. If you have the right connections, you can borrow thousands to start your own business. Simply put, borrowing money is easy. It's paying it back that's hard. If you don't believe me, just ask recent college graduates, with the average college student debt in the United States sitting at just over $37,000, how much time it takes to make the repayment of this student loan. The average debt repayment period for a student loan of between $20,000 and $40,000 is 20 years, or 5 times longer than it took to get the education in the first place. The rich know that borrowing can lead to financial trouble, which is why they always borrow with an intended return in mind. For instance, they may borrow money against a mortgage to take advantage of low interest rates, which they can then invest in the market for greater returns. Or they will take advantage of short-term borrowing to free up the cash flow in their business. Borrowing money isn't always a bad thing, but it can be, as seen in the college tuition example. Prior to taking on any loan, ensure that you have a plan for repayment of the principal of the loan and the associated interest costs, so that you can make borrowing money as painless as possible. Truth number 4, people will try and over-leverage you. Sticking with the topic of borrowing money, when you are on your path to the riches, there will be people who will try and take advantage of your aspirations, and one way they can do this is by offering you more debt than you need. Many people who suffered dearly during the 2008 recession know this firsthand, as the massive mortgages they assumed became impossible to maintain, with thousands of people losing their homes. The same situation can happen when it comes to building the business that will make you rich. Lenders will try and offer you more money than you need to maximize the interest they earn. And while this is sad, it is a reality that you need to be aware of. Only borrow what you need and pay it back as soon as you can. Truth number 5, the simpler the better. When investing, as I previously mentioned, many people think that those who become rich invest in very complex assets and use intricate investment strategies. But the shocking truth is that the rich invest as simply as possible. Even the richest investors in the world practice the art of investing minimalism, as Warren Buffett says. The business schools reward difficult, complex behavior more than simple behavior, but simple behavior is more effective. This is why people like Warren Buffett only invest in companies they truly understand. For instance, it's easy to understand how Coca-Cola makes its money, given people's love for the drinks. However, understanding how a biotech product can cure a newfound disease isn't as easy, therefore don't make investing harder than it has to be if you want to realize the same successes of rich people you look up to. Truth number 6, it's all about assets. Those who aspire to become rich or have already achieved significant wealth know that assets are essential to growing your net worth. They understand that while it is good to earn a large income, whether that's through a job or a business, it's the items we own that will propel us to new financial heights. This is why the rich focus all their efforts on building an asset base that will support them over time, from rental properties to investment portfolios. These assets will appreciate, with some even providing cash flow at the same time, and by leveraging these items you can ensure that you continue to grow your wealth, whether you are working or relaxing on a beach in Mexico. In fact, many people consider themselves rich once they've reached financial freedom, and assets are the primary way of achieving this financial milestone. When you're financially free, your assets produce enough cash flow to cover your living expenses, and by accumulating enough assets, this can cease being a dream and instead be a reality truth. Number 7, the most important investment you can make is in yourself. Most poor people believe that the rich become as financially successful as they do through picking wise investments, but these aren't the investments you would typically think of. They know that you'll get the biggest return from investing in yourself, through improving your skills, improving your connections, improving your health and fitness, and the list goes on. Consistently, relentlessly investing in yourself will produce better long-term results than any other investment you can make. The best part about investing in yourself is that your results are totally in your control, whereas investing in real estate or stocks is out of your control due to the volatility of the respective markets. When you decide to invest in yourself, you can control your efforts and ultimately your outcome. Truth number 8, you must capitalize on free money. Whether you are using a job or a business to earn the income that will make you rich, you need to make sure you capitalize on free money with 401k matching contributions. Make sure you contribute whatever it takes to max out what your employer will match, otherwise you're passing up thousands of dollars in free cash, which only makes it harder for you to become rich. The same is true if you own your own business. Set up a 401k and match 100% of your contributions. That way you're contributing pre-tax dollars and so is your business. As an employee, you can contribute $19,500 to a 401k this year, or $27,000 if you're over 50 in total contributions. Employer match and profit sharing can add up to more than $55,000. That's a lot of money you can sock away. This match is yet another reason to start your own business. Even if it's just a side hustle designed purely to help you put away more money for a retirement. Truth number 9, you have to lay your own path to riches. Some of the time it pays to consider what other people think, but not if it stands in the way of living the life you really want to live. Don't buy a house just to impress other people, buy the house that's right for you. Don't buy a car just to impress other people, buy the car that's right for you. Make spending choices that are right for you. Make investment choices that are right for you. Pick your career, your school, your business, pick everything because it's right for you. Not only will you make better decisions about your money and finances, you'll also be a lot happier because you get to live the life you want to lead, which ultimately is what money is really for. Now, for those of you who want to build an online business, make a full-time income online and achieve financial freedom, make sure to check out the first link in the description below for my free training. And if you enjoyed this video and found it valuable by showing you 9 shocking truths about becoming rich, make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and if you want to go from the life you have to the life you deserve, then make sure to watch the next videos, which should show up right about now.
Hello everybody, this is Robert Kawasaki, and I'm probably best known for the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I believe Rich Dad's education is the most important investment you can do and make in your life at this time. As you know, the state of the economy is like this. But in reality, for the last 10 years, it's gone like this. You know, as I'm talking to you, the stock market is hitting all-time highs, but it's based upon BS, you know, blue sky. There's nothing underneath of it. It's been completely manipulated. It's been done with printed money to bail out the rich. Not you and me, but they printed trillions of dollars to make the rich bankers richer and all their friends. But now the economy is like this. Now, any of you know anything about the stock market, is that every 8 to 10 years it goes, whoa. So the last time it crashed was 2008. As I'm speaking to you today, it's 2017, or 9 years. And it's starting to go like this. It's reaching all-time highs. The question is for you, can it sustain there? I don't think so. I would rather be prepared for what's coming than to buy, hold, and pray that's going to stay up. Simply because there's so many millions and millions and millions of people all over the world where their future is dependent upon a stock market. Are you nuts? It's going to come down. I'm not saying, well, maybe it won't come down. But if it comes down, all of you with your little pensions, your 401ks, all of you with government, you know, programs, you're in trouble. But that's why back in 1997, 20-something years ago, I started the Rich Dad Company, and Rich Dad's Education brings in the education that I think is appropriate to where the world is today. So you can buy, hold, and pray, invest for the long term, which to me I think is nuts. Why would you invest for the long term when the stock market today is run by HFT, high frequency traders? You see, long term for most people is 40 years. These HFT, these young kids on computers, they're in and out of a market in seconds, milliseconds. While you're going 40 years, these guys are coming in and out of the market in 1/10 of a second. And you're going long. That is nuts. That's hoping for the Easter Bunny to come and save you. That's waiting for Santa Claus. Are you crazy? So that's why Rich Dad's Education was created, to bring you the education without guarantees, but because you got to put in what you put in, and you got to study and study. But you might have a chance of surviving the next this way, because this here is when you get really rich. In 2008, my wife Kim and I borrowed $300 million and rode the baby back up. Here we are again. And you're going to go long? You're going to be crazy. Just as baby boomers start retiring all over the world. So that's why we have Rich Dad's Education. So let me give you a few other examples. If you just want to be told what to do, which is save money, you know how stupid that is? Why would you save money when the governments of the world are printing it? You got to be crazy. Why would you get out of debt when the US dollar is debt? You know? And more importantly, why would you call your house an asset when it's really, for most people, a liability? So you got to be smarter today. Worst of all, there's the biggest pension plans in the world nobody's talking about. The pension plans are going to go bust pretty soon. Like CalPERS, which is the biggest public service government pension plan in California and the US, is now $1 trillion underwater. They can't pay the retirees. So that's either bad news, especially if you're buy, holding, and praying, or it's good news if you invest in Rich Dad's Education today. I don't mean to be an alarmist, but I am concerned for you and your family's future. You don't want to be like my poor dad, a man who has a PhD from Stanford, Northwestern, University of Chicago, but died poor when he lost his job. That's crazy. To just count on job security when robots are coming, it's crazy. To understand, ladies and gentlemen, that's why Rich Dad's Education is so important. So let me give you two simple diagrams from the Rich Dad inventory. is this is what makes Rich Dad's education different. This here's a financial statement. This is what your banker asks you for when you graduate from school. Look, I have a Bachelor of Science degree from a very, very good school, one of the best schools in the world to train people like me to be ship's officers to sail all over the world. Richest graduates in the world, called the United States Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. And I was a C student. I didn't have good grades. But I'll tell you something. Even though I have a Bachelor of Science degree, my banker has asked me for this. My banker has never asked me for my grade point average. My banker never asked me for what school I went to. My banker wants to see my financial statement, because this is my report card when I grow up. It's time maybe you should grow up and invest in your education here. Because what this stands for is income, expense, assets, liabilities. This is the basic of a financial statement. My banker wants to see this. What the banker wants to see are assets. They don't care what your grade point average was. They don't care how much money you make. They want to see assets. They'll give you as much money as you want if you have assets. So what makes Rich Dad's education different is we teach you to focus here, whereas going to school teaches you to focus here. Look, there's a very big difference in this word here. Go to school and get a job, or learn how to acquire assets. That's Rich Dad's education. It's not easy. Most people can't do it. Most people would rather be told what to do, which is, oh, save some money, invest in the stock market for the long term, and get out of debt, and all that stuff. Unfortunately, that's not good advice, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I'd rather have real assets in here. Things like businesses. I have 6,000 rental units, 3 hotels, oil wells. I own other businesses. That's real assets, not stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. That's for amateurs, okay? And what else makes Rich Dad different, Rich Dad education different, is this diagram here. This is book number 2 in the Rich Dad series. This is E, S, B, and I. E stands for employee. Go to school and get a job. Yes, I'll do that. Job security. Well, robots are coming. Where's the job security? You know that jobs are moving overseas? Have you heard that? And the jobs that do move back to the States, they're hiring robots, not hiring humans. Check the stats, man. And look over here, S. That stands for smart guys, the A students. That wasn't me. They become doctors, lawyers, accountants, attorneys. Hey, they make a lot of money here, but they don't have much money here. And these are the A students, or small business. I own a taco shop or a coffee shop. And that's where school goes. If you're happy here, stay here. You don't need Rich Dad's education. You want to move to the B and the I side, which is big business, 500 employees or more, or professional investor, like a Warren Buffett. This would be Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett. You want to move from here to here, that's where Rich Dad's education comes in. You want to stay here, go to school. Very, very big difference. This here was my poor dad. Go to school and get a job and work there for the rest of your life. Get your PhD, get your master's, get your MBA, and climb the corporate ladder or work for the government. That was my poor dad. This was my mom. She was a registered nurse. She wanted me to be a doctor. I said, Mom, doctors are smart. She goes, oh, good point here. Stay here, because I was never going to make it as a doctor or a lawyer. I'm not that bright. Whereas my rich dad said, come here. Become a professional investor. And today, these guys, you can see them on TV shows. They're called Shark Tank. They're Mark Cuban and those guys and Mr. Wonderful. Those are professional investors. These guys here, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs, and saving money. You know, pack of losers, but anyway, that's what they do. Rich Dad's education is for this side here. But you have to become a pro. You have to turn pro. You have to be smarter than these guys here. So those are some of the differences here. The other part about here is this: professional investors cannot wait for the next crash. Because when markets crash, that's when they really, really get rich. So if you like stocks, rather than instead of investing for the long term, learn what Rich Dad's education talks about. You know, understand stock options, trading, all those things, how not to get caught into the market when it crashes. Because when markets crash, you can make more money faster when markets come down. Don't be an idiot in your Roth IRA or your ETFs or your pension plan going up when it's coming down. That's nuts. Again, let me say this. Markets crash approximately every 8 to 10 years. We're right there right now. So what I'm saying to you could be the worst news possible or the best news possible. The difference for you is, do you want to focus here on job security, a paycheck, or do you want to focus here? Do you want to focus here on being, you know, an employee or a small guy, small investor with a coffee shop taking on Starbucks? Or do you want to come here or here? If you want to come here and here, it's Rich Dad's education. You want to focus here, it's Rich Dad's education. I wish I could say it was easy, but it's not. But only you can determine if you're going to make it or not. If you're lazy, don't want to do anything, just have the government take care of you, get a job and buy bonds. Probably the best thing you can do. It's what lazy people do. Thank you. With them and all that, you want to be poor, it's up to you. I didn't want to be poor, okay? And number two, there's the middle class. There's a lot of them. But as you know today, 20 years later, the middle class is being hollowed out. There's no such thing as job security. Pay raises haven't gone up for the middle class. Technology is replacing people like driverless cars, artificial intelligence, and globalization. Jobs are moving overseas. So to be middle class today, it's very, very dangerous. So what makes Rich Dad different is we focus here. And if you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad 20 years ago, nothing's changed. As you know, my poor dad was a PhD in education. But what does school teach you about money? Did you learn anything about money at school? Most people don't. So that's why I had my rich dad, who was my best friend's father, and he was teaching me what the rich teach me. So look, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be poor, I hate to say this, you can go to school, but you still won't learn anything about money. And education is more important today, but what do you learn about money? Most kids now going to school, they're coming out of school deeply in debt with student loans, still not learning anything about money. Look at the middle class. You know, they may have high-paying jobs, but the jobs are going away. And what makes Rich Dad different is we teach what the rich teach people. Make a decision where you want to be. If you're poor, and nothing wrong with being poor, because I've been poor once or twice, is your teacher, if you're poor, is Susie Orman. She's a great person. She'll tell you to cut up your credit cards and live below your means. For poor people, great financial advice. I personally don't like living below my means, and I love my credit cards. And if you're middle class, that's Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey's a good friend of mine, and he always says, live debt-free. That's not what I do. I love debt. See, if you're going to be rich, you have to learn how to use debt as money. So there's Dave Ramsey in here. There's also Tony Robbins, is very, very middle class. He talks about buying ETFs. So if you like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, saving money, that's not Rich Dad. What Rich Dad teaches people are people who want to be rich. I don't cut up my credit cards, I don't save money, and I don't invest in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and I don't invest for the long term. We do everything different. If you want to learn what the rich are doing, that's us. You want to be middle class? There's Dave Ramsey and Tony Robbins. Great teachers, fantastic people. And for if you're poor and struggling and deeply in debt, that's Susie Orman. They're great teachers. Decide where you want to be. There's financial education for poor people, middle class people, and we're for the rich. Even if you're not rich, if you're here, you want to come here, that's what Rich Dad is for. Today, lots has changed. Rich Dad is more appropriate today, 20 years later, is because this comes from the second book, which is the cash flow quadrant. And the cash flow quadrant is about the 4 people that make up the world of business. E stands for employees. S stands for self-employed, small business guys, doctors, lawyers, and specialists. You know, they're self-employed. They work by themselves. And B stands for big business, 500 employees or more. And I stands for professional investor. These guys are passive investors. They invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and save money. These guys are entrepreneurs. They're like the people on Shark Tank, you know, Mark Cuban and those guys. So these are professional investors. These guys are passive investors. So people who buy ETFs, mutual funds, 401ks, IRAs, they're on this side. Okay. So very simply, this was my poor dad, and he always said, go to school, get a job. And my rich dad said, come over here and be a professional investor. So today I'm over here. Look, let me tell you one of the reasons the rich are getting richer or the poor are getting poor is very simply because it goes to taxes. Who pays the highest taxes? Well, all over the world, not just the U.S., these people pay approximately 40% in tax. Why would you go to school to pay 40% in tax? Doesn't make sense. You know, shouldn't financial education teach you how to pay less tax? And if you're self-employed or a small entrepreneur or a doctor or a lawyer, you pay the highest taxes of all, 60%. So many people today are quitting their jobs and becoming entrepreneurs here only to pay more taxes. Does that make sense to you? It doesn't to me. But if that's what you like, you know, stay here. These people over here, these are like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. They pay 20% in tax. They have over 500 employees. This is where I'm at today. And in the rich dad world, 0% taxes, legally. So this is what real financial education is about. You see, on this side, you don't need financial education. Just go to school, and you don't learn anything about money. You work hard, you pay high taxes. You need financial education to make it here. You're happy staying here? That's your choice. Again, this is Tony Robbins, Dave Ramsey, and Susie Orman. This is where you're at. Buy mutual funds, ETFs, and those things. Over here is where the rich are at. So Rich Dad teaches this side of it. And you must have financial education over here. You don't need it over here, but you must have it over here. So what makes Rich Dad different is we teach people to move to this side. This is the good news. You can keep your job and still move here. You can be in 2 places. And you can be self-employed or a small business or a doctor or a lawyer, and you can still come here or here. So that's the difference between Rich Dad and the poor and middle class, is that because it takes financial education to move to this side. What makes the Rich Dad company different, and what makes our type of financial education very, very different? Once again, you don't need financial education here. Just be a good, hard-working person, pay a lot of taxes. On this side, you must have financial education. Today, if you're an employee, you're in trouble. Face it, you'll pay more tax. Financial education, real financial education, should include education about how debt makes the rich richer, because you don't need money then. If I can borrow money, and taxes. The more money I borrow, the less tax I pay. It's really opposite.
You know what? That's a great point. They don't teach these real wealth building principles in school. The teachers were never even taught these principles. So how could they?
Amen.
Robert, people are so desperately trying to get free from the grind of trading their time for money, and they never seem to get ahead. They really only have 2 choices. They either play the game that is designed to crush them, or They play the game that's designed for only the rich to win. They just need to know the rules. But these two games have totally different outcomes and rules. So they do need to decide. Am I right?
I'm not saying one is right or wrong, you know. I don't want to be poor. I mean, I want to be rich. So, yeah, I'd rather be rich. I don't really want a job. I don't want Social Security. I don't want Medicare. I don't want the government to take care of me. Now, if you do, fine. That's not my choice. You know, most of my friends are counting on Social Security. They have a government pension, and they've got savings.